18. My name is Herre Johansson. I am the singer and guitar player of Tyr, and I am in Prague.
Gunnar Thompson, still the bass player of Tyr, and the slurping, that's all him. I'm still here in the Faroe Islands, enjoying a nice time with good weather.
How quietly you sip that,
Some rain.
I know how to behave.
Yes. And who's this guy down here? Drummer? Tad?
Oh yeah. Sometimes I even drum and strum. I'm Tad, sitting in Budapest, sunny, warm Budapest. Hello.
Hello.
Holy moly, the weather lately.
Yes.
What weather?
It's been like 20 degrees at night here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 12th episode of our second season. We put out these episodes on the 7th and the 22nd of each month at 700 hours Central European Time on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and Buzzsprout. You can get early access to this and some other nice material at patreon.com/tyrband. We are back to being in separate places. It was very nice to do this together last time.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Alas, no more.
I liked the location last time, so...
Yeah, I did. And we're still red in the face from that.
It was so embarrassing. I mean, seriously, going to the Faroe Islands and getting a sunburn. God.
Yeah, the shelves with sunscreen are understacked continuously.
Yes. But it was a very nice time. I told it you guys, I tell it everybody who asks me about that topic. I love to be in the Faroes, really. It's a marvelous place.
I like it too.
Nice.
Nice.
And it has its ups and downs, and the ups are very up. Some of the downs are quite downy.
Downish. Yeah, okay, sure. I never had a winter so far. Well, that's not true. We've been in the beginning of February there. That was quite wintry, but still beautiful.
It can be nice in the winter. I hear this winter had the snow for weeks. Really the worst part in the winter is when it snows, rains. That is the most useless weather. You can't walk, you can't drive, you can't go out for anything.
Yeah.
And the worst summer weather is when it's foggy, when you can't see more than 2 meters ahead of you. And unfortunately, in Lampa and Runavík and around there, it happens quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That can be depressing. Anything else I can live with.
Yeah. Especially, I mean, it gets dangerous as well for hikers. The fog.
Yeah, it catches you by surprise in no time, and it's the main reason the mountains are dangerous. You get lost and you
walk off,
freeze to death.
Yeah, we should really do what we already mentioned or talked about while in the Faroes. We should do like a band hike out there for a couple of days. That would be beautiful.
Semi-dangerous
and beautiful, yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere dangerous.
Sub-Arctic hike.
Yeah.
That would be great. Where would you like to go?
I mean, you know...
You can only walk for 3 hours, then you hit the other side of the island, you know?
Well, maybe just walk around one island.
Actually, the north end of Viðvágur, the island Gunnar lives on, is a very, very nice place. I've only seen pictures, never been there. But if you walk around the entire north, there are no villages, no civilization.
What? There's dead, abandoned villages, actually.
There's Slatanes, and is there anything else?
Viking.
Where's that? In the middle
Here
of
on the island?
Yeah. Where exactly? I mean, all the Viðvágur are on the south side, right?
Yeah. You have to go to the... If you have the Fjallavatn, and then you have to go to... On the left side.
Yeah.
Towards Gasadal. But on the north side of the mountain, down there somewhere, there's a place called Viking.
It's with that beach surrounded by cliff. So that used to be a village.
Yes.
I had no idea.
And actually, it's not that far back. I think the last one left. So.
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why did they leave?
And it's really, really remote, so it's not easy to get to.
I suppose one reason to leave is you don't have a road, and you have the one with the nice waterfall. Casadalur didn't get the road connection until when was the tunnel? The 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until then, you had to walk there.
Yeah.
You could hardly sail there.
Yeah, they were singing that song by Ozzy Osbourne. Over the mountains.
I mean, even Famian, where we have been now in the South Island, that's quite remote. I mean, taking that road every day. You know, if you, I don't know, work on the other side of the island, it must be quite annoying for years.
Especially in the winter, but at least, you know, it's a very short drive.
Yeah.
But imagine having to walk.
Yeah.
That's a completely different story. I guess that's why some of these villages were abandoned. Yeah. Just too few people to you know, justify building a road there, I guess.
Yeah.
So there is actually one of the abandoned Slatanes. There's quite a few houses out there, and I think actually you can rent them if you want to stay in.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, for a summertime.
That is a very nice place. I've only seen it from the ocean, but it's a bit more easy to get to. The walk from, I guess, where the ferry used to land, and you can even sail there.
Yeah, that's one way. I think actually that's more difficult to reach it that way. I think it's easier to go again towards Fjallavatn, and then you go over the mountains, and then you'll reach it.
I guess there's a nice landing there. I think we sailed past there when we went to see Vestmannabjörgin by the ferry rubbish, the tourist boat from Vestmanna, and they go quite close to that place, and you can sail there quite easily.
Yeah. So
abandoned villages.
Apparently, there's apparently a few around the islands in the Faroes. So. Of abandoned villages here and there.
Yeah.
Let's hike there. Let's write some songs over there or about them.
Yeah. And what goes for all of them? You have to go over the mountain.
That's fine.
We're gonna have to pay Ozzy some money for this episode.
Come on.
He's gonna sue us. Is there another mountain song?
I can't think of one. No.
Me neither. About 2 days ago, I put out the video introducing Hans Hammer, and it's the most successful video we put on our YouTube channel so far.
So where the hell is he right now?
He couldn't make it. I actually didn't think about including him in this yet, but let's include him in the next live stream.
Yes.
To begin with.
Yes.
On Instagram, which will be, I think, never mind. This is recorded a few days before it's released, so it's hard to tell you when it'll be from now when you see this. The third Saturday of each month.
Okay.
Yes.
So I guess the young guy is always the most interesting aspect of the band.
What? I'm not the youngest anymore.
We have to surrender our fame and our ego, and leave it to the young ones.
Yeah. It's his time now.
back in the day. I still remember when I joined this band, nobody gave a crap about me because I'm just the drummer. Lord.
Where's my cane, woman?
That's my drumstick, not my cane.
It's right beside you where you always keep it. I knew that, woman.
No, but back to Hans Hammer. What a name! What a name.
Hanseman lukta.
I can't follow you, man. It's just too difficult.
I made a questionnaire on our YouTube yesterday. The question is, what's the name of our new guitarist? And I made 5 options: Simon Sledge, Frank Forge, Martin Moll, Michael Mallet, or Hans Hammer.
Michael Mallet.
I mean, they're all. One of them's real. Cool name though.
Anyway, very very cool name. Especially that there was one comment. There was one comment calling him, "Oh, Hans Hammer is the new Axeman." Cool. Axeman like guitarist, you know.
Oh, like not actually.
No, not the Axeman, but the axe as a. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So.
Let me just stop you there, Thaddeus.
I just did.
And anyway, in such a list, the name might sound far-fetched, but both Hans and Hammer are very, very common names in the Faroes. So no one would have given it a second thought until you put it in a list like that. I understand why people might find it surprisingly fitting for a metal guy, especially in this band. But complete coincidence. His real name.
Yes. Well, if you believe in fate, then maybe, but we don't.
No.
You look so illuminated today, Gunnar.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Have you joined the Illuminati?
I joined the Ring of Fire, whatever that means. I hope that's nothing to do with bot, but...
Of course it has. Everything has.
Eat too much chili and you get the Ring of Fire?
Oh.
I don't know. Oh well.
So you're staring into a...
I'm staring into a Ring of Fire. That's disturbing, to say the least.
To say the least. After we made last episode, I suddenly realized we forgot to make a challenge.
Yes, but maybe...
You said but!
Oh, again. Okay. I challenge you...
No, it's my turn.
Oh, is it? Okay. I wanted to challenge him to not say but for a day.
Oh, you said but again, by the way.
I was about to say, I challenge you to make an entire episode.
About could be a boot.
So, an entire
I challenge
episode?
you to make an entire episode without saying but or as.
Now I got that out of my system.
Get it out of your system.
No, has to be the next one. This one is with. So,
okay. No but and no arse
but,
or ass.
But as I was saying.
What
All right. I think we flogged that horse dead.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe let's go to the questions right away.
Yeah. Well, the questions might be relevant for what we were talking about already. Eddie DeWitt asks, I hear the Faroes have the highest life expectancy and fertility rate in Europe. Is that true? Fertility rate, I think definitely. The average fertility rate in Europe is 1.5, and the Faroese fertility rate has been 2.5 for decades.
2.5?
What it is right now, I don't know, but at least until 2018, it was 2.5, which is by far the highest in Europe. Which means the Faroese people are having more children than
which means
any other.
We are so fucking bored, but we got nothing else to do but fuck.
That is a common way of putting it, but I don't think that's true because the unemployment rate in the Faroes, even for women, is the lowest in Europe too.
Yeah, but after work, what do you do? Well, there's nothing to do. Let's fuck.
Especially since booze is also very expensive.
Yeah. So it's cheaper just to F-U-C-K.
I don't think you can put it that simply. I think that the explanation is probably much more complex.
Or one more.
Let's hear
or the women are.
Can't wait to hear it.
Or the women, they are just so beautiful. You can't help it.
That might be one part of it, but I mean, it's a free country, and people are free to prevent their own pregnancies as much as anywhere else. I don't think that can be the explanation either. I mean, some of the Eastern European countries have the lowest birth rate in Europe, and those women are not necessarily unattractive.
Oh no!
Just saying.
They are not. Believe me.
That doesn't translate into a birth rate. So I don't think that's the explanation.
I didn't say it was.
You kind of hinted at it.
You hinted at it again.
I think it has to do with the country being relatively conservative, and people seeing future possibilities. You know, the economy is going well. There's very low unemployment, and people see a future. And when people don't see a future, and in a reasonably developed country, I think it might prevent them from having more children.
In general, I think if you see the view on having children from different countries, here a family has extreme values of some kind. So people here generally want to have a fairly big family. So why that is, I don't know. Why that's different in other countries. Well, economy could be one thing, but
I mean, you don't have children unless you can afford it. I think that
I don't
goes without saying.
To be honest, I think that's the last thing they think about. Can we afford having one more child? I don't think people think like that.
Maybe it's not the first thing people think about, but it's definitely not the last thing. I disagree with that.
I guess that's just our own
and
way
another
of thinking,
interesting
since
thing,
we are always poor, cheap-ass bastard musicians, so we have to think like that.
And another thing is also the sailors. They are away for a long time. They come home. What do they do?
That doesn't explain it. That doesn't explain it, man. Because people are free to prevent their own pregnancies, like anywhere.
I think
the frequency of sexual intercourse does not explain anything here. I think.
I think back in the days, I think some of the bigger families was simply the man coming home, and every time he was home, he fucking made a child.
Yeah, but that's not the fertility.
Inadvertently.
I'm not. Yeah. No, I don't think that explains it either. Because before fishing industry started in the Faroes in the 1850s, around there, it was much more common to have way fewer children. The reason people started having more children when the fishing industry started is simply because they could afford it. And before that, if you didn't own land, if you didn't have a way to support your family, it was just not an option. And they had fewer children before that.
I don't know if this goes for the Faroe Islands, but in other countries, it was one of the reasons for having a lot of children was actually the children helped you farming or whatever it was. So they brought children up simply to support you, which is a bit odd.
Yeah. That's one reason, You kind of created your own workforce for farming. Of course, you need really, boys mostly, but
girls.
It was in, I think, in the Disenchantment in the series. Bunty, the maid from who's working at the castle. She just pops out a new child starts to cry, and she
yeah.
says, "If you can complain, you can work."
It's straight out of Monty Python.
Yeah.
And anyway, about the life expectancy, he also asked. I'm not sure the Faroes have the highest life expectancy in Europe. As a matter of fact, I'm sure they don't.
I think Britain is pretty high, right?
Are they?
People have a tendency to get quite old in good old Britain.
I thought
Googled
Finland.
that very fast. Monaco apparently has a very high life expectancy, 89.4.
Wow.
Where?
Monaco.
Oh, Monaco.
San Marino second, Switzerland third, Spain fourth, and I suppose old people move to Monaco, old rich people, and that's what increases the life expectancy to the ridiculous age of 89.4. The Faroes have a life expectancy of 82.5, and Switzerland of 83. So it's up there with the highest ones, but not the highest one. If I compare my time living in the Faroes with when I was living in Denmark, I would say Danes on average are much more fit than Faroes people. They move more, they bicycle more, they walk more. I think they may care more about eating healthy also. Whereas in the Faroes you don't just bicycle to work. You're a moron if you try, unless you work 50 meters away from where you live.
But I think there's been a very, very big change in recent times. Because if you remember when we were young, old people, they were not actually that old. They were around 60 or so, and they looked very, very old. Because even about pictures of my grandparents, they're not very. I have some pictures downstairs on the wall, and they're not that old on that picture. They look like they're 90 or something.
Yeah, because they had a hard life.
Exactly. That's because they had a much harder work circumstances. Than today. Today we care much about how the workplace is made up.
And I think
so. We don't do anything bad towards ourselves.
Of course,
you can see that change today because you see. People don't. You see people in the 70s today. They don't look like they're 70. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
definitely.
But also, I think it depends on each country's society. On the mentality of the society. Because I mean, for example, Hungary has a life expectancy around 76 years. And I mean that's quite low if you compare it to the highest ranking countries, and it's I think it has to do also with the more gloomy mentality they have here.
What do you think makes that?
Well, I mean,
lack of faith in the system, or
I don't know. No, I think this goes back centuries because Hungary had a really sorrowful history, if I can say that. Always being the underdog and always getting the worst out of wars and battles.
Yeah. The lowest life expectancy in Europe is in Russia, where it's as low as 71.6. Well, that is really low.
Anton, be careful.
I don't know what makes that. I mean, could be alcoholism, could be
socialism.
Could be socialism, or really a semi-dictatorship. I'm not sure why you call it socialism.
I think what you said right there was probably one of the reasons.
and that undermines people's faith in the future, maybe makes them more self-destructive.
Yeah.
Hard to say. I've never lived in any country like that, and
But again, I think we started fairly early going to Russia touring, and and we've been there quite often, and I see a big difference from then till now on how people live, which is really weird, but there's a big difference. So
yeah. You think it's improved?
yes, because I remember when we were in St. Petersburg the first time, we saw a lot of people sitting on benches drinking beer and stuff like that.
You even
if
saw
you go
people passed out in the streets, spread eagled in the 20 degrees frost.
Yeah, because if you go now, you don't see that. You don't see those people anymore. And if, government removed them somehow, I don't know.
I don't know.
You know.
Just a side note here, I see now that the Faroes actually have a much higher average life expectancy than Denmark. I wouldn't expect that, but I suppose it may come from a
Fish.
more relaxed lifestyle. Eating fish, that might be very healthy.
Do eat a lot of fish, and
Because it's as good as free.
yeah, we eat fish, and we eat sheep meat, but we don't eat sheep meat that often. It's more common to eat fish, so.
Yeah.
And everybody knows somebody at Bakkafrost.
Yeah.
So you get free salmon whenever you like.
Yeah. Well, I get quite often free salmon, so it's cool.
I love it.
Holy, I must say, here a couple of weeks ago, I got 2 salmons from a friend, and I cut them up. The portions on 2 salmons, there was enough food for 4 people for at least 16 days in 2 fishes.
16 days?
Yes.
That's insane.
I kid you not.
That's insane.
Because first of all, they're really big, and there's just so much meat on them. So it was amazing. So not bad at all, and also worth to notice when you got fish. Normally, if you make fillets, they just cut the knife straight through. It's difficult to explain, but you cut one side of the fish and then the other side. But I discovered if I took the rest of the meat that still was on the fish and painstakingly took that meat off the fish as well, I had a bag about this big of rest meat that normally gets thrown away. That goes typically to a fish grinder, which turns it to
mink fodder. Flour.
Flour, which is used for all kinds of things. But it's worth to think about how much actually is on a fish if you use it correctly. Which goes for other animals as well. There's much more on it than.
Yeah.
And I like to. I'm not an activist or anything like that. I just think that when you kill something, you should use as much of it as possible.
Of course, yeah. I think that goes without saying.
Whatever it is. So.
Yeah. Next question comes from Maria Castro. Were any of you in the SCA? Gunnar, were you ever in the SCA?
YMCA? I have no idea. I don't know what it means.
Is it the service component architecture? Or the Specialty Coffee Association?
Did you ever have
That's the one.
Sudden cardiac arrest?
No, I don't think so.
I was never there. No, not yet.
I think I'm getting there.
So probably society for creative anachronism, reenactment, I suppose. Running around pretending you're Vikings or some other medieval.
Yeah,
stuff.
isn't that usually something like Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff?
No. That's different because that's live role playing. Because
so
reenactment is supposed to be, you know, how it really might have happened. You know,
trying to pretend
those
the past is present.
Exactly, yeah. Trying to live in those circumstances, but you know,
so
Lord of
a
the Rings
bit
stuff.
when we were at these Viking festivals.
Yeah, for example.
We've been to, yeah.
I think we've seen something similar there. I've never been really interested in that. I'm interested in the Viking Age, but not pretending it myself. Not trying to do it actively. I like going to see stuff. When we come to these festivals and there are people, you know, presenting the craft and dressed up as Vikings and whatever, I do find it interesting to see it and everything. But I've never been into doing it myself.
I've been to I forgot. I took my kids to this place in Denmark. I think it's close to Roskilde. This is an area that's supposedly built like the Vikings approximately lived about those times. And there they can go for, or at least they could, they went for weekends where they would only live like they did in the old days. And I think that's kind of interesting, but is that not something I would do, but
I'm sure there must be some kind of useful insight when you try it yourself. You realize something that you probably wouldn't realize by theorizing about it when you actually try it. So I'm sure it has some value even for historians, whatever they figure out doing it.
Especially with the food and stuff. For example, flour, you would grind your own flour with stones.
And you figure out personally how you get food poisoning and stuff like that, and how you couldn't do anything about it 1,000 years ago.
And I mean,
and how randomly people died from things that are easily preventable today.
You can have a little bit of Black Plague, you know, on Tuesday. On Wednesday, you'd decapitate your own heretic. It would be awesome.
One funny thing I always come to think, and this is just me, that's how I work. One thing I always think about is our waste products. Shitting. Because when you think about we're brought up with the toilet paper, right? They did not have that.
Speak for yourself.
So I find that quite interesting how...
Didn't they use dry grass or moss or something?
I think anything approachable, and every now and then there was a little bit of poison ivy in that thing, and ouch.
The traditional Faroese way was you would do your morning poop by the ocean side so that the ocean would take it away, and you'd use a handful of dry grass to get rid of the leftovers.
And this was actually not that far back. When my mother was young, all the men used to go down to the seaside and sit there and do their thing.
I loved to play by the ocean when I was young, and this was fortunately after the introduction of toilets. I think playing by the ocean side might have been a very different experience before toilets.
Well, I asked my mother about it. They used to play down there as well, and every now and then they would see a poo. So it must have been weird, but they didn't think of it because it was quite normal back then.
So they didn't have peeping toms looking at children play, but pooping toms. Sorry, horrible.
One thing that annoys me when I see these reenactors is every now and then you'll see someone with a holder on his belt for his cigarettes and his lighter.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, they walk around with all modern convenient things. I suppose the most real thing we've seen, Gunnar, was when we were at Vollen in Poland, the Viking festival there. There wasn't even electricity anywhere, and
No, and this was supposed to be Jomsborg, right?
yeah, it's called Vollen, and well, I think nobody really knows where Jomsborg was, but it should have been around there.
Okay.
That
was
was
kind
pretty
of
realistic.
yeah, pretty far out. They had these big fights where they gather in a ring, and they would simply fight each other with the
They would just line up two armies, like hundreds
Yeah.
of people,
Really?
and clash.
yeah, but they were not trying to hit each other. They were trying to hit the shields, of course. But every now and then there came somebody out with a mashed
Yeah.
finger and whatnot.
Yeah, they were carrying a guy out, holding his hand up. Three of his fingers were standing at a direct angle to one side, and
And I remember this very well. There was this big, huge guy. He went in with no armor at all, and he just went at him. That's quite brave. So
He was being the berserker.
I think that's taking reenactment a bit too far.
yes. The present has its perks, and one of them is you don't have to risk your life in the battle for your feudal lord or whoever.
Yeah.
I understand the attraction to adventure like that, but ruin your physique for play, I don't see that.
Yeah,
anything
and
attractive.
another thing is also, as I understand it from the Viking Age, if I'm right about it, I have no idea. I don't know that much about these things, but if you had a sword, you had a very, very high status, because a sword, you have to imagine that iron was not common. I mean, somebody had to make that thing, and that would cost a lot, you can imagine. So if you had some kind of sword or whatever, you had a pretty high status, at least from what I've heard. But
I think that's true.
right.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
So people would bring their axes because they had those for work mostly,
Yeah.
and it's a handy tool in battle also, and it was the main
I think they would-
weapon of Viking armies.
Yeah.
As I understand, they would bring anything from typical farming
Pitchfork.
tools.
Yeah, the armies weren't equipped by whoever ran the army. You had to bring your own equipment.
It's interesting. I translated a lot for the Hungarian National Museum, and mostly about the time between the 8th and 11th century within the Carpathian Basin, so Hungary and the old parts of Hungary, and swords were very rare finds, like archaeological wise, but knives were everyday tools. I mean, everybody, even kids had knives with them in their graves, for example. So yeah.
But still, they probably were not cheap at all.
No, definitely not.
No, but much more necessary than a sword. I
Yeah.
mean, you need either an axe or a knife or something with an edge to do everyday work. Like kill animals for food, craft, wood, whatever. You don't need a sword for that.
No.
Next question from Maria Castro is: do you think you'll be touring the US anytime soon?
Unfortunately, it looks pretty dim,
Bleak.
right?
What
Bleak.
does soon mean? It will not be this year, definitely.
Not
In
this
best
year,
case,
nor
it will
nor
be
it-
late next year. It might not even happen. We don't have that confirmation yet. Our most positive hope, I think, is early 22. Late 22.
Yeah. And this is simply because, ladies and gentlemen, that all bands probably have been on standby, all bands in the world. And now everybody wants to get in on the year 22. And that's gonna be pretty difficult for everybody to get a
Exactly.
spot.
There will be a show every day in every decent-sized city, and
especially bigger bands. I mean, let's face it. It's if you attract the most people, then you're getting the best spots, and
not just metal bands. All kinds of bands are looking to get back on tour. So we're not in a very advantageous position for that. We're really hoping for late 22, but it might be 23.
Yeah. But fear not, ladies and gentlemen, we will try to do something interesting for you.
Oh yes.
While being here, stuck not on the road. So we'll figure something out.
We will. We
will not be sitting on our lazy asses.
We will be making an album, and we will be in contact with you through the Tourcast, for example.
Yes.
And
other ways.
And hopefully do something else.
Something insane.
Yes.
Cutting our hairs.
Yeah.
Changing our style. Some nice pop songs. Who has that church bell in the background? Is it you, Gunnar?
It's Gunnar, I think. It's not me.
It's probably me. You know, everyone in the Faroes are so religious.
You live quite close to the church, don't you?
Right by it. And actually, right outside here, like 20 meters from my house, there's a cemetery, and there used to be a church right there. It used to be a church right there. But now it's a bit further up the hill, but it's right here.
Isn't the place you live called Vikyrkjar by the church?
Yeah, by the church, yes. So
interesting.
Yeah.
The last question we have is of the same kind. It comes from Megan Badger, our first and best online supporter, I suppose we can call her.
Thank you.
The Australian tour dates are scheduled for October. How's it looking? Do you think you'll make it out here? October this year? I'm afraid I can say almost certainly not.
Yep.
Same as with the US. We just have to wait until travel becomes possible again, and it will be up to the local promoter to find new dates and rearrange the whole thing. Not looking good.
There's a slight chance for Europe this year, but we don't even know about that so far. So, I mean, we're going to keep you posted on that as soon as we have the confirmation from the bookers and the management.
And on travel matters, I'm going traveling for the first time since Corona tomorrow.
Yeah. Really?
Mm-hmm.
To Denmark, yeah.
Oh.
So that's pretty weird. I haven't been traveling for a whole year. I used to travel every second weekend. I used to travel.
Unfortunately, they have mandatory cavity searches right now. So sorry, Guns.
They have?
Your ring of fire will be, No. Keep it family friendly.
I didn't say anything.
Didn't say a word. You'll find the Kastrup airport, Copenhagen airport, that is
nowhere I can hide this.
Eerily desolate.
Yes, very desolate. Oh man, it was so empty.
Yeah, it was. Most of the shops were closed. Not many people. Walk this way on the right side, walk this way on the left side, and this is looking like it's taken a long time. I saw some really annoying news out of Norway yesterday. They found a new variation of the virus with a lot of mutations that made it not, how do you say it? Made it immune to the vaccine, I think.
Okay.
And I thought, here we go again.
Well, we just We just had some incidents here again, and I've been tested this last week. I've been tested 4 times for corona because I work at the salmon factory very often, building stuff for them, and now I had to go to Denmark with my father to the hospital, and again we needed a corona test. It was ridiculous. I mean, so I'm pretty used to getting that thing shoved in my mouth. So
Yeah.
so.
That's disgusting. So, yeah, that's that. We're up to 46 minutes now, and let's leave the challenge as it is. Next episode will be without using the words but and as. So, but could be something like however. As is, like or resembling or...
Because I was like, and then they were like, and we were all like, but it was like, but however.
Please like this video.
Yeah, you said like.
Because Gunnar is so funny.
Sometimes.
Find us on Instagram.
Thank you to this.
You can find us on Instagram, where we are _official. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where we are Tierband. Please follow us or track us on bandsintown.com/tier. Because in about 10 years, we're going to go on tour again, and you don't want to miss that.
Probably.
Yeah. Listen to your favorite tour songs right here on YouTube or on your favorite streaming platform. Please go to tier.fo, get a CD, an LP, some merch, and sign up for the very important and infrequent newsletter. You can support us on patreon.com/tierband, and you can ask us questions which we will answer here on the Tiercast. We put out these episodes on the 7th and the 22nd of each month at 1700 hours Central European Time. Thank you, and I hope to have you back here on Wednesday, the 7th of July at 5 p.m. Central European Time. So long, suckers.
How dramatic! I can't wait.